So, let's address the elephant in the room.
We've been gone for a while.
Yes, we have.
That was rude.
We're sorry. Forgive us. But we still want to be here to entertain and inform you listeners with Season 3 of Seemingly Unpopular.
Starting now. Hello to all of our listeners.
Welcome back. Hope you guys are all fantastic.
I almost feel like we should introduce ourselves again. Have you
Okay.
forgotten who we were?
Well, I mean, we've been gone for how many months now?
I had lost count.
Yeah.
It's been that long.
Me too. So I kind of explained this on my Pinterest. It mainly boils down to our schedules. I mean, we're both pretty busy, and we don't really have the time.
I changed jobs twice since we've been on. So.
We didn't have the time to do the show that we were doing, and that was quite heavily involved in preparing, getting ready stories, and we had video format, so there was
I think maybe we just didn't realize how long it would take to put audio clips together and prepare.
We don't have the time that all the big shows have, and we don't have producers. It's just us two. So it's
at the end of the day, we don't want to be all those big shows. This is our show.
Yeah. So this season we've reformatted some things. So starting now, at least for this season, I think we've decided that it's going to be a podcast only. We did have a YouTube channel. I'm not saying that we wouldn't do anything in the future. In fact, if we can grow this community, I would really love to do YouTube. But for now, it's just going to be podcast oriented.
Yep.
So we've redone some things, and in the past, some of the comedy skits and impersonations kind of weren't exactly what we're looking for. Not looking to represent. We kind of drew on people's faults and exploited them, and it's not really something that we aim to be as Christians.
Yeah. At the end of the day, we are Christians, and we don't like to defame or deride or poke fun at other people's, moments of weakness.
Yes.
Things like that. So just looking back in retrospect, we're just going to try to steer away from that.
And you try to, that's been taken care of, and we're going to try to steer away from that. So, in the future, we will still try to be as entertaining as possible without all the bad aspects of it. Trying to show love, and also, trying to show respect to whom it's due. Whether the policies
which is difficult.
It is very difficult, but that is one of the things that I really want to try to. I mean, it's one of the things that you strive to be. It's like to learn how to respect somebody that makes terrible decisions.
Right.
Because at the end of the day, they're still appointed by God.
Right.
So
and we're not going to say that we're never going to do that again, because we are human.
Of course.
We will stumble.
We all make mistakes.
But it is our goal to kind of remove all that stuff, still bring you information that we think you need to know and things that we need to talk about, because that's the basis of this whole show.
Exactly. So on the front of reformatting things, we used to pick out stories and just try to figure out what kind of topics we wanted to talk about, but I really enjoyed the moments that were not scripted. And the podcast itself was not a written podcast. It wasn't scripted, but the moments that were not planned, the stories that we did not plan to go over, and we didn't discuss beforehand what we were going to talk about. So this season, we're trying to do something like that, where we might pick some stories throughout the week or something on that day specifically to talk about, but we're only looking at the titles or briefly looking through the story, not discussing it, not really going in depth before the show. And then once the show starts, we will read it and give a raw reaction and dialogue to those stories. And I think that would be a lot more entertaining, both for us and for you, the listener.
Yeah. So, in other words, on some things we have not done our research.
Exactly.
So it is up to you, the listener, to do your own research on the topics that we discuss as well. Don't take anything that we say, as gospel.
Yeah,
by any means.
Yes. So in the past, we used to give you all of the sources, and that was something that I'm sure was probably beneficial to some people who went and checked it out. But this time, we're going to read the stories, and we're going to give you where it's from, and I think we'll try to do to give you the author of said story.
I mean, a lot of the things are going to be, mainstream news. It's we'll talk about the big things that are going on, and there's probably some side stories that most people may not see.
Yeah,
we'll try to pick up on some of those as well. But a lot of them are going to be the bigger stories that everybody's talking about in the mainstream media. But again, this podcast exists so that we have a different voice than what we're hearing from the mainstream media.
Yeah. And we'll probably be late on a lot of stories because we also I don't think the schedule has changed really. We used to only do one day, and it was more in depth. So we may be a little bit behind on some of the stories. They may not be as relevant as they were when they were first published, but hopefully they will still be.
We'll try to keep everything relevant within the past week or so.
Yeah. So with all of that said, huge thanks to everybody who has stuck with us, and sorry because I sounded Canadian there for just a second.
Sorry.
I have nothing against Canadians. But anyway, thank you to everybody who has stayed with us and enjoyed the show. We got our first review on our website.
Especially to those who've taken the time and effort to write a review. Really means a lot to us and lets us know that you guys are actually listening and you actually care what we have to say.
Part of the joy in doing this is knowing that other people are really enjoying what you have to say and what the product that you're putting out for them to enjoy. So we really, really do appreciate that, and we appreciate your patience in waiting for a new season. If you are here to listen, we will try to be here to do that. And I know we've said that several times before, but we cannot predict the future. And I think we had high hopes for a lot of things, and I think we just kind of went too big at the beginning.
Yeah, maybe.
So we
wanted to try too many avenues at once.
Exactly. So
we need to scale back a little bit.
We're gonna try this, and we're gonna
take our time.
Yeah, and allow people who listen to this on podcast to be kind of the base. I mean, you guys get to help grow this. If you enjoy it, share it with your friends, whoever you would like to share it with.
Reach out to us on our webpage, seeminglyunpopular.com.
Yep.
It's the best place to reach us currently.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Feel free to leave us feedback because we will feed off of that and, for future episodes.
That is the best avenue because neither of us are very active on the socials.
Because we're quiet people.
Yes. Yeah. So it's half the time I don't even know what to post, and I'm only on Pinterest. So if you want to check out my Pinterest, I don't even have that for you currently. Some other episode, I will get that in there for sure.
Yeah.
But I occasionally post updates on the show and random other stuff. So, in the way of stories for this episode, particularly something that I found that was interesting is updates on something that I'm sure a lot of people have been wondering about: Alec Baldwin and the shooting of one of the. I think she was a camera person, wasn't she, or was she like a director? I don't.
Yeah, I don't remember.
Okay, so she was a cinematographer, Hala Hutchins, and also injuring director Joel Souza. Mm-hmm. So the update on that, this story is from the Blaze Media.
So he did a lot of talking in the media,
yes,
and basically claiming that he in no way pulled the trigger. Mm-hmm. His lawyers are probably screaming at him the entire time he's talking to the media about it.
Well, I mean, that's what he did. I'm assuming that's what his lawyers told him in the beginning. You need to get on every media outlet and basically get out there and try to build up your credibility, I guess, by saying, I didn't do it. And that
But he's Alec Baldwin.
He's Alec Baldwin. So it was a really strange story because how does this happen on any set? But apparently according to this story by Eric Cervone, Cervone, I don't know if it's Curvone or Cervone.
Apologies to Eric.
Yeah, sorry, Eric. On the Blaze, says almost 10 months ago, actor Alec Baldwin's prop gun was discharged on the Rust movie set, killing cinematographer Hala Hutchins and injuring director Joel Souza. Baldwin has maintained that he did not pull the trigger of the gun, telling ABC News' George Stephanopoulos last December that he had no idea how a live bullet got onto the film set, but that he didn't pull the trigger on the firearm.
Which that part can be believable because there are special weapons handlers that take care of all of that. That's not to say that he couldn't have loaded his own gun.
Yeah.
But typically they hire somebody, an arms person, to handle all the weapons, to make sure that there's blanks loaded in them so that they're safe throughout the entirety of the shoot.
And I'm sure most people have followed at least somewhat of this story, and they came out and said, well, the arms person had gone out and taken that gun and loaded it with live ammo and were at the range and shooting it. And there's all kinds of theories as to what could have happened. Maybe she just forgot. Maybe, there's a whole lot of theories. Most of the blame, I think, would be on her if it was found to be that
it's her responsibility ultimately.
And so, be that as it may, there's the update is that the who was it? It was the FBI. The FBI has now completed its forensics investigation and handed the case over to the Santa Fe County Sheriff's Office. According to the FBI forensic report, which was obtained by ABC News, the gun used in the fatal shooting on the New Mexico movie set could not have been fired without pulling the trigger. Mm-hmm. And that's something pretty much every gun person knew at that point, because those guns are kind of designed not to go off unless it is fully cocked back, unless the hammer is fully back. They say with the hammer in the quarter and half cock positions, the gun could not be made to fire without a pull of the trigger. So they still ruled the death as an accident because, why would he have any reason to go after her? But it's so interesting. And that footage came out of him practicing with it, and it wasn't loaded, I don't think. But he was practicing with it, and from the footage, it does look like his finger is depressed. It's depressing the trigger. Yeah, it's
definitely on the trigger
as he is pulling it out. And I think it was just habit, and so he had it loaded, and then as he was going to pull it out, if it was blanks, then it would have been totally fine. But however the live round, it was whoever put the live round, I think would hold most responsibility.
This story just screams the importance of firearms training.
Exactly.
When, any instructor is going to tell you that you will never put your finger on the trigger until you are ready to shoot and kill whatever is in front of that gun.
Exactly.
Like when you're drawing it out of your waistband, your finger should not be anywhere within the trigger.
Yeah.
Not inside the trigger guard at all.
It's also a lesson in how guns work. Obviously, it's kind of a satire thing on the right to be like, well, guns don't get up and shoot themselves, and so guns aren't the problem. And it's true, they don't get up and shoot, but they have built-in safeties, and it's always the human that is pulling the trigger. It's always the human decision to do it, whether it's intentional or not. I think the responsibility that Alec Baldwin would have would to be more careful with his guns. He had the responsibility of knowing that gun was in his possession, and that, whatever happened, even if the gun isn't loaded, you're basically trained to treat it as if it was loaded at all times.
Right.
So it shouldn't have been handled that way. And that's at least his portion of it. And then whoever put the live round in it, obviously, is going to have more of a responsibility for this, or a liability. So it's
really a tragic story.
It is, and it's a
something
shame
that could have been totally avoided.
Yeah, and it is a sad story, but it's a good lesson in firearm safety. But it's tragedy because it's like every airline disaster. You know, it's like you only learn what you did wrong after something goes wrong.
Yeah.
And then you make corrections if you learned your lesson. So,
but you know, all the people on the left that are, you know, I watched a video recently. I don't remember where it was that I saw it, but they were trying to get reactions. I think it was a setup, but they were trying to get reactions from the public in a certain scenario. And it was, there was one fella sitting at the gun counter, and there was another fella teaching his son, his really young son, probably 8 years old or whatever, how to handle a gun. And they wanted to get the other guy's, you know, random person.
Yes.
They wanted to get his reaction.
Yeah, I was watching this with you.
Someone else who is criticizing that person for teaching their young children how to use a gun.
Exactly.
And to my surprise, you know, the guy at the counter was like, I am so proud of this father teaching his children. This is exactly what we need. This is one of the problems that we have in this country, because the importance of gun safety, you know, for tragedies like this that could be totally avoided if, you know, the youth is taught how to handle weapons properly.
Yeah.
A lot of things could be avoided. Tragedies can be diverted.
Yeah. And I really think it was just a slip of the mind on Alex's part. It was really just, it was a freak accident that shouldn't have happened. And it's a tragedy that it did. But on a
live round should have been nowhere near that set.
Exactly. But that has yet to be determined. As far as I know, they're close to wrapping up with this investigation. And I don't know how in-depth the repercussions are going to be. I guess we'll just have to wait and see. On a different note, I found a little bit of an entertaining story on Mashed.com by Daipoole, Daipoole.
Apologies to Dai.
Exactly. I'm sorry. Okay, so this story is about Doritos coming out with apparently condiment-like flavors.
So like ketchup flavored, mustard flavored?
I have not looked into this. So like I said, I mean, I haven't read the story. So from the story reads, from Super Bowl commercials featuring celebrities like Matthew McConaughey, Mindy Kaling, I'm assuming that's how you pronounce her name, and Jimmy Kimmel, to partnerships with fast food chains like Taco Bell, Doritos arguably is one of the recognizable and beloved brands in the snack world. The Frito-Lay company started in 1955 after Frito-Lay struck a partnership with Disney to open a Mexican restaurant, Casa de Fritos, at their California theme park. What?
Info I didn't know before.
Exactly. You're welcome.
Disney is everywhere.
Courtesy of Mashed. I mean, how many people knew that?
No idea.
Yeah. After a salesman saw the restaurant throwing out stale tortillas, they recommended the company avoid waste by turning the tortillas into deep-fried seasoned chips.
What a novel idea.
Smart salesman. So anyway, this goes through all of the history of Doritos. One thing that stands out about Doritos is the number of flavors they come in. While some Dorito flavors are better than others, the excitement around a new release still tends to garner attention. Fresh from the news that the fan favorite Blazing Buffalo and Ranch will be making a return, the company has taken to Twitter to announce the arrival of 2 new unexpected flavors, ketchup and spicy mustard. Okay, but I do this occasionally. You ever go to a cookout and you have
your Dorito falls into your ketchup?
No. You have ketchup on your burger, right? And it drips onto the plate. And so you're like, well, I still have ketchup. And then you look at your Doritos and you're like,
yeah,
I wonder how this would go. And so you try it, and I've done it.
It's not bad, but it's really not
remember. I will dip my chips in ketchup. I mean, it's a good thing,
but it's not something that you go to have all the time. Like
True. I mean,
It
like
never
you're not,
enters your mind. You're like, you know what? I need a snack.
you're not gonna go to
Grab
the
some
grocery
Doritos
store and
and
grab a bag of
smother 'em in
Doritos.
ketchup.
Yeah, and then go and put
No.
ketchup on it.
That's not going to happen.
Hey, but you won't have to anymore. If you were a person that did that, you will no longer have to because Doritos has done it
Doritos
for
has you covered.
While the replies show that the new flavors caught many fans off guard, these choices are not that surprising, especially given the prominence of these particular condiments during the summer season. One user responded, "Ew, come on, you guys are better than this," with a phrase that I would not like to repeat. But another user stated, "We fully thought you were kidding about the mustard flavor, but now we are shaking in our boots." So I guess people are pretty taken off guard by this.
Yeah, it doesn't scream like a successful product to me. I don't know that it's going to be a hit, but I guess wait till you try it.
But here's where they get you. It's all marketing though. It's like you come out with a new flavor, millions of people buy that new flavor just to try it, and then you pull it off the shelves. Mm-hmm. That's exactly what you do. I mean, that's marketing 101. I mean, if you want to make a whole bunch of money, you throw something that's wild into the mix, everybody gets it to try it. I mean, it's like how successful did they think that the Mountain Dew Flamin' Hot would be?
I don't know anybody that wants to drink hot Mountain Dew.
Exactly. But
I know I certainly don't.
You know, there's I'm assuming there's YouTube videos all over the place of people trying it and all the reactions to it, and then you have the personal reactions from the people who have bought it, and it's something about the experience. And
it
then
gets
they make
people talking about Mountain Dew, and there you go.
Exactly.
Lots of sales.
But yeah, I would try it, especially the spicy mustard. Spicy mustard sounds better than the ketchup to me.
See, I'm not a mustard person, so
yeah, true.
I don't know that I would try either of them.
Yeah,
on my own. If somebody within the household buys one, buys a bag or whatever, I'll test it. But
so, audience, let us know your thoughts. I don't know how many people would do that.
So is it just ketchup and mustard?
I believe so. That's all I saw on the story, and I didn't read.
Like, are they going to expand that to like barbecue?
Well, I mean, they have barbecue chips,
but not barbecue Doritos.
Not Doritos. Ooh, that sounds good. Barbecue Doritos,
maybe.
Anyway, something that has been in the news recently is what's going on with Sesame Street.
Is it still called Sesame Street? Every place I've been reading it here lately, it's been calling it Sesame Place.
Because Sesame Street is the show, and Sesame Place is this theme park, I guess. I think it's owned by, I think its parent company is SeaWorld.
Okay.
So I don't know where Sesame Place is.
I have no idea.
No clue.
Didn't know it existed. Bad marketing.
Yeah, exactly. But I mean, how many adults are going to look at that and be like, "Oh, I want to go to
unless
Sesame
you have
Place"?
Small kids, yeah.
Yeah. The fact that I'm thinking of a bunch of adults that want to go to Sesame Place.
I'm sure they're out there.
Maybe. But this anyway, the thing that's been in the news as the, I guess, racial discrimination with one of the characters denying, I guess there were two different instances?
Well, I only know the one.
I thought there were two.
The one that was on video.
Yeah,
with the two little girls.
This story, okay, yeah. This one says two girls, but they were probably both at the same place.
Right.
So I guess they wanted, I don't know if they wanted a high five, a hug, or what.
It looked like it was in a parade setting.
Yeah.
And this Sesame Street or Sesame Place, forgive me.
Yeah.
Characters walking down in the parade.
Mm-hmm.
And two little girls, they're both African American. They're both, waving at the character, hoping to either get a high five, like you said, or a hug or something. And from the looks of the video, it looks like the character directly looks at him, does a no motion, kind of waves them off with his hand or her hand or whatever it is.
Yeah.
And keeps on walking by.
So that supposedly it was just because they were black that he denied that.
That was the narrative. That is
of course the narrative. But one of the things that okay, but here's my thing. Even if it was, okay, say that it really was racial discrimination, which is unacceptable. It's not something that should happen.
Right.
Okay, say it was that, right? Would you, as a parent, care enough to take it to court? Would you make as big of a deal out of it as it has been?
I don't know. I probably wouldn't, but that's my character.
Yeah, and I don't want to tell people how to like raise their kids or anything, but it just seems to me, my personal opinion is that if you take something and you blow it up and make it something a lot bigger, I mean, the girls were what, 4, 5, maybe a little older.
And we really only have one angle of the video, so we don't really know. Like, I heard somebody mention that there was like somebody else off camera that was trying to hand the character their baby or something.
I guess.
And they aren't allowed to do that.
Yeah.
It's, part of their job that they cannot hold people's infants. I don't know who in their right mind would hand over their infant.
Yeah, I don't know.
So if that's true or not, I don't know. And to me, I think also it could be possible that it's really difficult to see out of those costumes.
Probably.
Like I've never worn one, so I don't know what it looks like from their perspective. But, these little girls are not really at eye level with, him. So, or him or whoever was playing the character.
Yeah.
So it might have been difficult for him to see, and he was just waving off, something else that we can't see on camera. There's a whole realm of possibilities.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess you'd have to be there. And
yeah, and I mean,
would I take it to court? Probably not.
As American citizens, they have every right to challenge this and to take it to court.
And if the Sesame Place, as a company
is condoning this,
yes,
then
or
it
if they're being
huge.
responsible about it, if they, apologize, maybe give free tickets or something in compensation,
and take reprehensive action on whoever was in that costume.
Exactly.
That I feel like that is the correct approach. Maybe be a little bit more. I don't know. In my opinion, it
doesn't need to go to court.
It doesn't need to be as big as it is. I just feel like every time something like this happens, they turn it into a social justice issue. They turn it into something that does not need to be something huge. I mean, yes, if it was, the problem itself is terrible and should not happen. I don't condone it in any way. And the worker, if that really was their motive, should have reprehensive action taken against them.
Up to and including being fired.
Exactly. And I'd be perfectly fine with that. My only thing is, it seems like every time this happens, they try to fit it into the narrative that this happens all the time.
Right. And
that this is everywhere, and we need to blow it up into this ginormous, I mean, it's on every major news outlet, and it blows up, and I just feel like it could be handled like, hey, I'm going to contact the company, I'm going to say this happened, I'm going to get, and the girls are young enough where I don't really think they'll remember it. I don't think it caused any huge trauma to them. At the end of the day,
and certainly unless they're taught that's why that character, their skin color is the reason why they were denied. From a kid's perspective, they're not going to think that at all.
Yeah.
They're just going to say,
and I just have a big problem
Rosita or whoever is so rude.
Yeah. I just have a big problem with, say they win the court case, right? And they win the amount of money that they want. What does the money go towards? I mean, the money goes towards, I guess, the parents. And I mean, it's just like, I don't know. I don't feel like there's that much to go off of. I don't know. It's just something that was blown up a lot bigger than it needs to be, in my personal opinion.
I would agree. I would think that it could be handled satisfactorily outside of court.
Yeah. But, people have every right to do what they see fit to do as American citizens, whether, people agree with it or not. But Sesame Place did have a reaction to this. And I don't know if it's the action that I would have taken or one that really makes sense to me. But this is a story from Newsmax. written by it's like a day of really hard to pronounce names. So Solange Reiner.
Okay.
Sesame Place cancels Rosita, the character, after the black girls were seemingly snubbed. So
the character is removed altogether.
the character is gone
because now she's got this.
because
She's painted as a racist.
because the characters are racist now.
Mm-hmm.
I don't get that. I honestly, I don't get that. The character is a costume,
Right.
and whoever was in the costume made the decision.
Right. But it's tainted now.
This is what I mean by getting blown out of proportion. No kid watching Sesame Street is going to be like, "That's Rosita. That's the racist character."
I know, unless they're taught that.
Exactly. And this is the problem I have with it. If it was really a big deal and it was happening all the time, then maybe make it a big story. It's still terrible, but yeah, I don't know. It just seems like this is super big, and it doesn't really need to be.
It sows division where there doesn't need to be
Exactly.
division.
You know, and I just feel like there's ways to be civil and want to come together as Americans instead of try to remove things. But Sesame Place, this is reading from the story, Sesame Place near Philadelphia removed most traces of its bilingual Sesame Street character Rosita after a costume version of the mascot seemingly snubbed two black girls last month at a parade, reports the Daily Mail. Most shops in the park have no signs of the Rosita character, and Rosita's cochina? I don't know how to pronounce
I
that.
speak Spanish.
That restaurant has reportedly been closed for weeks, according to the report. Multiple buildings with the character's face on them have also remained closed since the incident. Staff claim she has been canceled. Why? I would just like to. I don't get it.
That's the culture in which we live.
Really don't get it. I don't know.
I have another story that speaks of division. This is on the Washington Free Beacon. The headline reads, North Dakota School Board scraps Pledge of Allegiance because it's, quote, simply not true.
Okay.
This is written by Robert Schmad. Fargo, North Dakota's school board voted Tuesday to stop reciting the Pledge of Allegiance at the beginning of meetings because it is, quote, non-inclusionary and, quote, not true.
Oh.
Board Vice President Seth Holden motioned to axe the pledge, saying it was inconsistent with the district's philosophy. Holden said the pledge violates board policy because there is text within the Pledge of Allegiance which is simply not true. So what text do you think that would be?
Well, I think increasingly more, this nation is becoming very much one that is not under God. I mean, at least they do not acknowledge that God is a part of it.
That's part of the argument. He argued during the Tuesday board meeting that because multiple religions are practiced within the United States, the country can't be one nation under God. Holden also said it is an indisputable fact that not all U.S. citizens have liberty and justice.
Oh, please.
According to Holden, reciting the pledge violates district policy that school board members should be honest.
Okay. But then we have a double standard, because people who say that it should be honest about the Pledge of Allegiance for some reason also teach that boys are girls and girls are boys, good is bad and bad is good. So now, I mean, we teach lies. We teach that the country was not founded in 1776, but what is it, the 1619 Project?
Yep.
We teach
Critical
that
race theory.
all white people are bad. We teach lie after lie after lie. And now we demand truth from arguably a very true statement in the Constitution. I mean, the Constitution is pretty true. That's what the country was founded on. You know, you're one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. That statement is is our announcement to the world that that is the standard that we try to live up to. Is it not? I mean, that is
It is.
the standard that we're trying to live up to. I mean, we don't always succeed at it, but if we tried, I feel like that's what we were doing in the beginning, and for the last 200 years, we've been trying to live as a nation under God.
You know, the Pledge of Allegiance recognizes the fact on, there were certain principles that this country was founded on.
Exactly.
So if these people don't like that, they don't have to live here.
But this is exactly what they do. I mean, this is exactly the plan. It's you have to change everything.
They have to rewrite history.
If you don't like it, change it. We saw this with the definition of inflation and recession, and I don't know about inflation, but we saw it with the definition of recession, at least.
Right.
They've done it with their definition of woman. They've done it with you name it. They changed illegal alien into undocumented citizen. It's
right.
If you don't like
the
it,
language
change it.
and change definitions
Exactly.
to fit whatever narrative, so that we live in this huge land of confusion where you can't possibly know who's telling you the truth.
That's exactly. I mean, that's if you don't know what's right and what's wrong, if you don't know what's true and what's not, then people can manipulate.
And these are the people that are being elected to lead the board, that leads the school district.
Exactly.
And shockingly, most of the board members agreed with Holden. Members called the pledge divisive and a distraction, with one suggesting it be replaced with a shared statement of purpose. Another said that reciting the pledge doesn't contribute to student achievement. Robin Nelson, the only board member to voice opposition to removing the pledge, pointed out that people who did not want to stand for the pledge were not being forced to.
Exactly.
And that's an incredible point. No one's forcing you.
Nobody.
To stand up and cite the Pledge of Allegiance.
Now, this is
freedom.
You understand that if you do not stand up with everybody else, everybody's going to look at you. You are going to be a spectacle, right? That comes with it. But you've made that choice.
But we're almost to a point where the person that does stand up and cite the pledge
is going to be
spectacle.
A spectacle. So if you want to be a social justice warrior and you want to make a point, then you're going to have to be kind of the odd one out. And if everybody's going along with what you, I guess, agree with, then I guess it's a victory for you. I don't know. It's just
sowing more division.
It's wrong. It shouldn't be. And this is another thing. Only one side gets to voice their opinion on this.
Right. If you disagree, you are canceled.
Exactly. If you want to stand for the pledge, if you want to do it, and you're exercising your freedom to stand up for the pledge, to say the pledge, just the same as somebody who's exercising their freedom to not say it.
Right.
Right now, you are in a free society. But if you change it to, okay, so now nobody gets to do this, it's going to be eliminated completely, then, I mean, I guess nobody's going to be hurt by it. But eventually, down the road, kids aren't going to have any idea of what this nation was founded on.
Right.
Because that's what happens.
Stop teaching the history that, all of us that are, 40 and older learned back in school. We grew up with knowing the truths of the founding of the country. We learned the importance of the men that, put together our system of government.
Exactly.
Everything that they went through and the sacrifices that they made. Were they perfect? No.
No, of course
Is our
not.
system of government perfect? No. But is it the most successful form of government?
Yeah.
I would have to say so.
Yeah. I mean, it's the freest nation. I mean,
Used to be
on the face of the earth. And that's exactly what they want to try to change. But I feel bad for the people who want this kind of change because they don't realize what they're doing.
No.
Because they don't realize that what they've been taught is the building blocks to a communist America, to a fall of America.
And we are rapidly falling.
Yeah. So it's just one of those things where you have to get worse before it gets better. I mean, it just has to. You have to have the pendulum swing left before it can swing right. And right now we're in the swing left portion. And it's just something where if it teaches anything, it teaches trust. You know, when everything is falling around you, you just have to keep, praying. You keep trusting that something somehow is going to work. Because in the end, good wins,
Right. It's real important how we play it. When you talk about, like you bring up the pendulum, if you're a listener of Glenn Beck, he's talked about the pendulum swing. Mm-hmm. And so, there are a lot of people will, at least the people on the right, a lot of them will say, well, the left plays dirty.
Exactly.
We all see this every single day.
Yes.
They play dirty. They don't live in reality, so you can't have decent conversations with them. Mm-hmm. And we've had problems in the past with, when Republicans are the majority, mm-hmm. that, they're elected by saying that we're going to do this, this, and this, and then they get in there and they do absolutely nothing.
Exactly.
So how do you play it? Do you, sort of wave the white flag, give up, and say, they play dirty, we'll play dirty, dirtier.
No, I don't feel like it's
when you do that, you're swinging the pendulum further.
Exactly.
To the right. Mm-hmm. And when you do that.
To the left, you mean?
No, to the right. If the Republicans play as dirty as the Democrats.
Well, I know, but that's what I'm saying. I'm saying if the left is the bad way of the pendulum, if you're acting like them, wouldn't it swing more bad? Is what I'm saying.
No. The pendulum, the way Glenn describes it,
okay.
The Constitution is in the middle.
Exactly.
And then you have the left wing and the right wing.
Mm-hmm.
So right now the pendulum is swung way far left. Mm-hmm. So if the right plays just as dirty as the left does in order to swing the pendulum back, mm-hmm. the pendulum goes too far right, mm-hmm. then you don't have the Constitution.
Yeah, you don't have equality.
Right.
Yeah.
You have hierarchies on both sides. Mm-hmm. And it plays whoever's in power is it's a monarchical type of government.
It's one of those.
So you
things.
have to play it careful.
Exactly. It doesn't give you free reign. Oh, they started it. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if they play dirty. It doesn't give you an excuse to play dirty.
Yeah.
I think the way that you do it is you expose their dirty ways and then show the right way.
And you hold them accountable for everything that they've done.
Exactly.
It's tough because the human in me wants us to play just mm-hmm. as dirty.
Yeah.
Because you feel like that's the only way you can get through. Mm-hmm. But the Christian in me says that's not the way to go.
Yeah.
You have certain principles that you need to hold fast to, mm-hmm. and everything will work out in the end if we trust in God, who's actually in control of all of it.
Exactly. I just feel like there's a responsibility to show why they're evil. And that's really a good word for it, because a lot of the things that they do are just plain evil.
Clearly evil.
But you show the evil and then you show the good, because, it's like a blackboard, and then you're just like throwing something super white on top of it. You're only really going to see the white if you have something super dark to compare it to. Mm. All you have to do is expose the evil that's there and then show the good. And most logical people,
that's the thing,
will see that. And the left understands this. They understand that most logical people are going to want something that's going to make their lives better.
Which is why I think they're going so hard after Donald Trump.
Yeah. They know this, so they try to make the sane people into insane people. They try to change regular people into
radicals.
That's their plan.
That's what January 6th is all about.
It's always, there were obvious things wrong with January 6th, but
right.
It's
but
not
nothing to the extreme of what they're painting.
Exactly. So that's the plan. So that whatever, I just think it's a good standard to just be like, yeah, okay, see what they're doing, don't do that.
Right?
Because this is what it leads to. It's like if you bully the bully back, then you've become the bully.
You become the bully.
It's exactly what it is, and you don't want to become the bully. You want to be the guy who's there to. And that's another thing. that's really hard to do is show the Christian principle of like, I want to help the bully. I want to change that person into somebody who's loving and caring and who understands right from wrong. And then their lives will be better, not only their physical lives, but their spiritual lives, hopefully, if they get the message.
Right.
And some people are just tuned out to it. You know, they've just decided that they'll.
It's an increasingly uphill battle.
Yeah.
You know, to change the minds of the masses. You know, the people that are out there that are just screaming to, you know,
To scream, basically. I mean, it's the really.
there's so many people that are like, it's too late for nicey nice.
Exactly.
You know, we have to go extreme opposite direction.
Yeah.
And I don't think we're there yet.
It's one of the things I do not like about the Republican Party right now is there's a lot of. I think some people play it well. I think Ted Cruz does a pretty good job of exposing lies without attacking the character of somebody, without attacking the person themselves.
You use that person's record.
Exactly.
Just like he did with, I forget her name now. Ketanji Brown?
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah.
But
Ketanji. Doesn't sound right.
Ketanji Brown Jackson?
Maybe. I don't know.
I think it's Ketanji. I don't know.
Justice Jackson.
But it's like that's what you do. You show the wrong way and you contrast that to right. And then those who are looking for right are gonna follow. But it's a multifaceted thing. I mean that it's so deeply rooted in everything. You have to take it bit by bit by bit by bit, and it takes a really long time.
We are so far down the road of, you know, one party is just completely contaminated with corruption.
It's so easy to get drawn.
I say one party. Both parties have corruption.
Both parties are
one is
in the
extremely
mentality
worse.
of fight. I mean, I don't think flight is a good option either.
No, and neither is go along to get along.
Exactly. Because then you're just the dog on the leash, you know, and you're just
feeding into their chaos.
following it. But you know, it's so easy to fall into the mentality of we need to fight back. But you don't necessarily need to fight. No battle's ever won by, you know, brute force. It's always, you know, there's strategy involved in it, and there's you always want to aim for peace instead of destruction. Destruction for because if you destroy things, then you've won nothing. When the war's over, everything's gone. You know, and So
we're not looking to abolish our system of government or anything like that. We're looking to reform it.
We're not becoming anarchists here. You know,
we want to go in and remove all the corruption that has made it what it is today.
Mm-hmm. And you want to hold those people accountable for what they've done, and hopefully they'll learn their lesson.
Yeah,
because that's how government works. Whether it's nice or not, you know, it teaches lessons, and that's, you know, no parent likes disciplining their children, but it's
a necessity.
It is a necessity. You can't be the best friends to everybody. I mean, as much as I would love to get along and just be a happy nation, people are going to disagree with things, and that's fine. But
disagreement is healthy, though.
Yeah, because it allows room.
It starts
for
conversation.
We wouldn't be America if we all agreed with each other, because we would get nowhere, because everybody would be comfortable with what they know, and then we would just, you know, we wouldn't progress.
Have new ideas.
Yeah. We wouldn't have problems to solve.
So we're all about diversity.
Yeah, I mean, I was thinking the other day, I went for a walk, and I came across, you know, people of all kinds of different ethnicities. You know, it's a beautiful thing to be able to live in a country, go for a walk around your city and see a bunch of different people. And, you know, you're on the walk and you smile and wave, and people get along, and you just have a good feeling about living in that nation without having that fear, I guess. And when you realize that the majority of normal people understand that, you know, we're supposed to be nice to each other. I mean, even if you don't have any religious morals, generally as a person, you understand that we're all kind of the same.
Right.
And so it's, you know, most people are not racists, you know, they just painted that way by one party. And it's just
in a media that goes along with them.
Yeah. And it's like, it's one of those things. If you're looking for something, you're going to find it. If you're looking for that person that's going to treat you bad, it's a lot easier to notice something when you're looking for it.
Right.
Am I saying that there's no racists? No, there's plenty of evil people out there. But, you know, it's a very deep topic. It's multifaceted. Like I said, it's in everything.
Right.
So it's just our responsibility as moral people, as people who have the truth, to get into everything and to spread what we know.
Racism has crept into, I mean, you read stories in the news where racism, you would think, has no place in this story, but oh my goodness, you know, that chip is a racist now because of some, you know, it's just nonsense. They just throw it into everything to make you think that it's a one-sided world and you can't.
It's manufactured chaos.
Drives you nuts.
That's what it is. It's manufactured chaos. If you make people think the world is burning, then you can control people because they're desperate. They're so desperate. Their lives are miserable and they're waiting for a chance to get out. And that works to our advantage in some aspect, because you can say, listen, these people who are telling you that everything is terrible, look what they've done.
They're the ones that are making it terrible.
Are they helping you in any way? Does your life feel better than it was?
I think a lot of the minority populations are figuring that out. You know, you see in the polls how the left is losing, like the Hispanic vote and things of that nature. So at least hopefully there's some kind of light being shed. Evil can only go so far before people are fed up with it.
Yeah, and it works to our advantage because it gives you people who are basically desperate for we're waiting for something to grab onto. Right now they're being fed just lies and evil. But if you can just feed them the good, then they're more likely to accept it. So it's a lesson. I feel like that's why a lot of this is happening. It's a lesson to all of us. We've all just been kind of sitting on our thumbs, you know,
right.
and we're just
sitting on the sidelines,
and we're just we don't really do anything. And it seems like there's a lot less of a push for good, because I feel like we just kind of settled. And I feel like this is an awakening, just kind of like a, hey, hello, you need to be out there doing things, showing light, because the darkness is growing and you just need to be out there.
Are we listening to the lesson that's being taught?
Yeah. History repeats itself. I
Sure
mean,
does.
How many times has there been evil people in power, and, you know, the good eventually shines through, whether it be physical or spiritual, in some way, it gets better. You just have to be out there and doing something about it. Besides sowing more division.
Right. Besides
Rioting. Besides, you know, because when you paint the picture that you're as violent as the other person, nothing gets changed. Now, Glenn, a lot of the time, you know, I don't really know if he's obviously not an advocate for violence, but he's always like, you need to be as forceful as they are with your, I don't know. I don't want to speak for him. Because I'm just drawing this off of the top of my mind, and I could be remembering somebody else instead of Glenn and then attributing it to him. But I've heard from some people, like self-defense experts, when it comes to like physical fighting, you're supposed to be as vigorous as your attacker, and if you want to succeed. But it has to be, you have to think about how to do that logically and morally. If you're as vigorous in the way of fighting as they are, violently anyway, it's not a good way to win a mental battle or a political battle, to be violent and attacking. There's different ways to do things. Anyway, that was
supposed
a long diatribe.
Smart about it. Yeah.
but yeah, it's a deep subject. But I enjoyed this episode. I thought it was a great episode for season 3.
It was a darn good episode.
It was a very good episode.
So, yeah, we look forward to seeing you more in season 3. We'll have a lot more to say on a lot of different topics.
Yep. So we're gonna. I think Saturdays work best for us. Currently.
Some.
So I don't know when we're going to post them. I guess sometime over the weekend, or just I guess when we get around to it. I don't really know.
Yeah, we haven't figured out that part yet.
Because you can't really predict schedules. So yeah.
We'll come up with a game plan, and then your job is just to stay tuned.
Yep. And if you feel like it, share it with your friends.
And leave us a review on our webpage.
Yep.
Or you can rate us on Spotify. Or wherever you get your podcasts.
Wherever you get your podcasts.
We're on just about all of them. So.
Thank you all very much for listening. And have a wonderful week. Upcoming week anyway, whenever you're listening to this.
We'll see you on the next trip.